On day 12, we'll finish exploring Big Bend National Park, then head up the Rio Grande River to El Paso. To finish up Big Bend, we will be driving out of the Chisos Basin along the road till we get to the Ross Maxwell Scenic Drive. We will take it down to Castellan, where we'll look around at this station, go over to the St. Helena Canyon Overlook and walk up it some, and then take the old Maverick Road back to the main highway and leave Big Bend National Park. As the sun starts to touch the tops of the mountains, let's look around the Chisos Mountains one more time before we leave the basin. And now it's time to head out for a day of exploration around the park before ending up in El Paso tonight. As we lose elevation out of the mountains, you'll notice that the trees that we see in the higher mountains will give way to the low scrub vegetation of the desert on the plains around the mountains. As we drive along, you'll notice they've reinforced the road with concrete where places a flash flood might cross the road. In this area, Homer Wilson raised 6,500 sheep and goats. Part of the house is still left. There in the barrier wall created by the Rio Grande River is St. Helena Canyon. It's still 14 miles away, but that's where we're headed. The Native Americans roasted sotol in pits like this. Sotol is a type of yucca that has a tuber similar to a potato. Big 22 is where we get We now again move into an environment of contrast. White sand, red sands, dark soils, all different kinds of rock.
That's what that canyon looked like.
Tukuy uchija kunami ninang bakta ali atung runa kunakanchi shinji shankai kunam.
Castellan Peak shows the various layers of rock formation that we find in this area. Castellan was founded as a military base to protect this area of the Rio Grande River during the Mexican Revolution, and continued like that for some time. Then Mr. Cartledge took over and started raising cotton here and had a trading post also. These cliffs are in Mexico, and the Rio Grande River flows at the base of them, making a fairly formidable barrier. And you'll notice there's quite a contrast between the land where the Rio Grande flows and just a few feet higher where the high desert is, where no water flows. As we cross this arroyo, you'll notice the flood gauge to the right. 5 feet high? This escarpment, sometimes 1,200 feet high, has the Rio Grande River flowing at the base of it. It flows out of St. Helena Canyon. The left part of the canyon is Mexico, and the right wall is the United States. St. Helena Canyon runs along the Texas-Mexico border. Mexico to the left, Texas to the right. Many people like rafting down it when the water is high, and it has a canyon trail that you can walk along, but you have to do a lot of climbing. Notice here there'd be no problem getting from Mexico to the USA. Now we head down Old Maverick Road, basically just a dirt road, and you need a high clearance vehicle to get down it. Bumpy road she wanted to be on.
No, I didn't.
See how bumpy the roads are she's got us on now? Gilberto Luna raised a large family in this jackal, as it's called, a low house made out of mud and daub. It's basically a Deborah-size house.
I am tired of all this drought. When is it going to rain? Are you going to give me some water? I have been sitting here in the dust as long as I can remember, and it gets hot and dry here. Oh well, maybe it will rain next year. Well, have a nice time in El Paso, right there along the Rio Grande River.
Now time to leave Big Bend National Park and head out toward Turcolina and then the Rio Grande River. We will be trying to follow the Rio Grande River as much as possible, so we'll be taking many back roads. And Immigration and Naturalization stopped us one time to check and see who was in the vehicle. As we touch hill, if you'll notice on the left, you'll catch a glance of the Rio Grande River. The other side is Mexico. You can see how easy it would be to cross from Mexico to the United States across this section of the Rio Grande River. And that is why immigration patrols this area very regularly, and we were stopped.
Nyaupama katina ganchi ama chinga chisho tukui kai pachapi kausai kuna Shinajata, yap, Shinajata, yap.
We finally turn north now toward El Paso.
Kucha, Vakcha, Inti, Kija, Paikunami.
Along the way, we'll be seeing dust devils kicked up, like these two.
Shinji, Kausaita, Kuchi. Nami, Yuganchi, Kausai Shaktakuna,
Time for another immigration checkpoint. They're all along this area. And then into our Wingate Hotel for the night at El Paso. And this completes the end of our story for day 12.